and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tally. The mission and the goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and search Tuesdays with Tally. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the program as well. And now your host, Brian Tally.
What is up? A good Monday morning out there to everybody out there listening today. We've got a big show today with Barry Morgenstein. I hope everybody is recovering nicely from that big Thanksgiving turkey meal that we all had and enjoyed around our dinner table with our friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, you name it. But folks, we have got a big week. We've got 5 days, 5 podcasts from 5 motivators out there in the country who are doing big things, and we are going to tell their stories. Today's a big day, day 109 of this podcast, brand new podcast, 76 episodes. And again, why is it Tuesday? Why is it Tuesday? Why do you use the word, the day of the week, Tuesdays with Tally if you're doing podcasts every single day? Well, it came to me on a Monday night, and that next Tuesday, which was the next day, I began a podcast, and I thought I would only do one a week. Well, I guess that hasn't been too true. I guess my obsession with this has climbed to heights that I could have never seen before. So anyways, I'm keeping the name Tuesdays with Tally, but it's an everyday program. Hopefully, we'll be an everyday program. So I just wanted to point that out. Today's show sponsor is Chris Whittemore, former United States Marine Corps Scout Sniper. He's got a book out. You guys got to go check it out, Terror to Triumph. It is a book based on a true story about him, a Scout Sniper in the Battle of Ramadi. You can get that book anywhere. Books are sold online, and you will be doing this Marine, you will be supporting him in his mission. His book makes for great Christmas presents and everything else. So without further ado, I want to bring in Barry Morgenstein.
And today we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself. Yes, Barry Morgenstein, New York City's top headshot photographer. And let me tell you a little bit about this guy here, Barry. He's an award-winning photographer with a world-renowned appeal. His work spans the modern era of pop culture with an array of subjects running from Donald Trump and Oliver North to Steven Tyler and Meryl Streep. His work has been featured in a number of national periodicals and has developed a look that has become a recognizable branded style all on its own. Whether Barry is shooting an aspiring actor for their first headshot or a seasoned celebrity, they are all treated equally and given the same respect and quality. Barry truly knows how to set the scene and capture you at your very best. The Barry Morgenstein Studios are located in New York City, and he shoots his signature style photos while on location in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Nashville, Tennessee, Stamford, Connecticut, and now Washington, D.C. Barry, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brian. Great to meet you finally. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Today's a big day. Today is a big day because I celebrate every single day of this show. I celebrate every single day of this podcast because I absolutely love it. It's become an obsession, and I know it's helping me, and I know it's helping thousands of others out there who listen and tune in every single day. But look, you're episode 76, and I'm looking at your shirt. 76.
I'm ready.
Kind of liking that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it was meant to be. I mean,
exactly.
come on, how can we make this stuff up?
Right. Yeah. And you have the Iwo Jima painting picture behind you. I have the statue behind me. So I think we're in sync here.
Man.
Right.
Hey, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? You can't fight fate.
Absolutely.
Well,
nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's an honor for you to be on my show today. You are a very interesting guy, and you've got a story that deserves to be told. Because what you do is so unique. I think it's so unique. And again, I want to get you out there. Unlike, you don't really need to be out there, even more than what you already are. But I think that you're going to add a lot of value to our listeners today in what you do.
Oh, good. I hope so.
Your portfolio, has ranged from folks like former President Donald Trump to Oliver North to Steven Tyler, again, Meryl Streep, Chris Peranto from Benghazi, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson. I mean, you are a celebrity photographer. And before we get too far into where you are right now, I want to learn a little bit about who you are as a person. Now, you live in New York City right now, but where were you born and raised?
Well, actually, my studio is based in New York City. I live in New Jersey, which is not far. I'm about a half hour out from my studio, but I grew up in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy. Grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, and but always worked in New York. And so I'm just always from this area. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in New Jersey. Yeah.
What was life like growing up as a kid in Brooklyn?
Oh, no, I was there for a year. I was literally there. I was born in Brooklyn, but I grew up my whole life in New Jersey. So, yeah, like I said, raised in New Jersey, basically. I was in Brooklyn until 1 year old, so I don't remember anything about it. So, yeah. But
so that's all you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you know out there is Jersey, Philly, and probably.
Yeah, a little Philly. I don't really shoot there as much now. I'm more like I go back and forth to the DC area 3 times a year, once in a while to Nashville. So not as much PA anymore. But but I'm based out of New York City.
Yeah, I have a lot of buddies that are, I think they live on the other side of the bridge from Philadelphia, but they're Jersey guys too, but they're like Philly fan. They go to all the Eagle game, all the Phillies games. Man, those guys are something else, man. Those guys do Santa Claus. But I love those guys, man. Philly fan, those are some of the best guys I've served with in the Marine Corps to this day. And I tell you what, it's always good to have them on your side and on your team. Those guys are nuts.
That's right. I hear they have a jail in their the Philadelphia Stadium. I think a little small jail. That's what I used to hear. At least I don't know if that's a myth or that's true.
Yeah, those guys are something else, man. But I tell you, you're best friends or worst enemies.
Right.
You decide, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like New Yorkers, though, too. New York's kind of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been to New York. I actually had the opportunity and the pleasure to go on a vacation there one time. We're big baseball and sports folks, and we went out for one of the final games in Shea Stadium and the old Yankee Stadium. So that was a great experience. And when we were out there, is when my kids were a lot smaller. And at the time, I think I only had 3 kids, not 4. And, so we had the strollers and everything out, and everybody was like, make room on the subway. We got a stroller in here. We got a carriage. I call them carriages. Right. We got a baby carriage in here. And so everybody was very nice to the tourists.
Right.
But to everybody else, they were just like, just regular New Yorkers.
That's it. So. Yeah, that's New York for you.
Awesome. Well, listen, man. So how did you get into this photography business? It's such a, like I said, it's such a niche to be a headshot photographer. But obviously you probably didn't just get and start shooting headshots. How did you get into the photography business?
When I was growing up in Teaneck, New Jersey, I was a big music fan. I was a big rock and roller, and I played guitar. I was into music, and I wanted to be a guitar player. But early on, I realized I didn't really have the talent to have a career as a guitar player. I was not very good. I just happened to love the music and love playing. I realized a lot of my friends were musicians, and I was in a band at the time, and the singer was my girlfriend at the time, right out of high school. And I just picked up a camera and I started photographing her and my fellow musicians. And I realized for my love of music, I had an eye for it. I knew how to capture these musicians. And I kind of just started going to clubs, started shooting bands I knew or friends of mine, and just realized that was something I just had an eye for. And I got a job with a big rock and roll photographer in New York City as an assistant. He started sending me out on shoots, concerts. I started building up my portfolio, making contacts with the record companies. And after 2 years, went on my own and kind of built up a reputation as a rock and roll photographer. And from there, I kind of I started doing studio work, and I thought I was going to be a fashion photographer. I realized that's not really my thing. I don't like the fashion world too much. So I started to realize I was great at portraits. And a soap opera magazine, local, when soap operas were big in New York and LA, they kind of found out about me, and I started shooting for one of the magazines, and the actors and actresses started recommending me, and I realized I kind of found my specialty was portraits and headshots and capturing people. So I took it from there.
So when you first started this, when you picked up the camera and you figured, and you found this job that you could do, when you found this, I mean, at first it was probably a hobby. Like, I'm going to pick up a camera. I think I'm really good at this.
Sure.
And I think I could see myself doing this long term. At first, did you do this for free and then kind of share them out there? Or like, how old were you when you're doing this? Was social media even around then?
No social media at all. No, not at all. It was, I was in my early 20s. I think it was, I was not interested in photography in high school. It was not until I got into my early 20s. And, I guess I started shooting, just started practicing, and I would shoot maybe, again, my friends, give them prints. And, so I guess in the beginning you do things for free, just because that's how you learn, is not as much going to school. You learn by practicing and shooting over and over, kind of maybe copying the styles that you admire. Maybe when I did the portraits, I would see people I admired in magazines and books, the photographers that influenced me, and I would try to copy their style. And from that, eventually you learn your own style. And that's the best way to learn to me. Yeah. So in the beginning, then eventually I started getting paid, which is always a good thing. Yeah. So.
10,000 hours creates an expert. 10,000 hours in any industry, creates an expert. You'll never know it all, but it's enough to at least say, hey, I am an expert. I am a professional, and now I can start getting compensated for my work and my, in my style. And it's art. I mean, you are an artist. Let's face it. And you capture those moments in time that are so unique, to the folks that are hiring you to capture, whether they're the candid shots or or they're just looking right at you for say a TV show or something like that. Now, when you first got started in this, what type of camera did you have? And I mean, obviously, this is something that you couldn't just plug into a computer and just kind of email out. You had to send the film off, right? And then you got the film back. And
right. When I started, I shot with Nikon cameras. That was the big, I guess, the go-to camera for film. And it was no digital. It was all film. I'd have to wait 3 days for the contact sheets and have the clients come in, or slides. You wait a few days for the color slides. It's a whole different process. And when I switched to digital, I went to Canon cameras. So, yeah.
So you have seen so much in the photography world, over the last 20, 25 years, and I mean, did you ever really imagine that photography would take you to where you are today, from starting, your first rock concert, or, just shooting a friend or whatever, to the heights that most photographers could only dream of?
No, I never did dream that would happen. It was like, I was lucky in the beginning. I got to meet a lot of my idols, rock stars, or some actors too. And that was thrilling for me. And then as time went on, I got to really work with a lot of, as I changed too, I started meeting more people who I admired even more. Was the military, law enforcement, who I've kind of become the go-to guy for for news people, military people, again, law enforcement. So, and I've met some great, amazing, like our heroes, our country's heroes. And to me, that's like biggest thrill. That's my career right now. So, yeah. And I never dreamed that would happen too. So I'm lucky. I meet some incredible people. It's good to meet. I meet some great talented people. Our heroes. It's great. I'm very lucky. It's a nice wide variety.
Now, the competitive nature of what you do. I mean, because really, let's face it, in 2022, everybody's a photographer. We all have phones. We all have cameras now. Whereas back, even when I was in the military in the 90s, we had disposable cameras. So we didn't capture a lot. But now everybody is capturing everything. And there's so much uniqueness about all these different styles to take pictures. You got filters, you got, all this new age stuff. Now, how do you stay on top of your game and continue to earn the business of some of New York City's top celebrities when there's so many people out there with a camera and with passion?
Well, I guess you can't really, iPhones take great photos, but you still need a professional camera to do professional photos that people are going to use for publicity or magazines or, whatever, websites. And, there's more to it than just having a good instrument in your hand. You have to have the eye. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have a real feel for it. To me, it's always about the feeling and knowing how to capture people's personalities, their souls, capture the eyes. So there's more to it than just like having a good expensive equipment or a good quality camera or iPhone. So.
Yeah, I wasn't really talking about like shooting professional, photos with like, say, a Samsung or an iPhone. I'm just saying that because everybody has a cell phone now, it has really created a new hobby, especially when 2020 hit. Everybody got a camera and they went out into nature and they were taking pictures and this and that. But there's so many people out there these days that are photographers that are taking pictures. And there's got to be a new Barry coming up through the ranks somewhere out there. And it's like, how do you stay on top of your game? Like, how do you stay in front of these people? Is it just through relationships that you've built? Or is it something that you constantly have to keep with the innovation and to keep always striving to earn their business?
It's more about, I guess, building a reputation. I have a reputation. People come back to me. They're comfortable with me. I'm pretty laid back. We have a good time at my photo shoots. I don't change my style. I think people come to me for the style. Again, I haven't upgraded my equipment in a long time. It's my camera. It's more about how I capture people, and people are just comfortable. And I think that they just like my work. They like the personality. They like what I can bring out by making them comfortable in front of the camera. So I guess they keep coming back.
You're an artist. You got that eye. You know what you're looking for. You've got all that experience behind you. And, I was just only asking, because like you said, hey, when I was first starting out, I wanted to kind of shoot some stuff that I liked, like how can I mimic that?
Right. Exactly.
We have a lot of those people out there that are like, how can I beat Barry?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I've helped a lot of people who work with me over the years, assistants. I'm always happy to give advice to, and I've seen some of my past assistants go on to be successful photographers. So that's great. If I can inspire or influence somebody or help somebody, I'm happy to do that.
So now you're dubbed New York City's top headshot photographer. Now, how long did it take you to find that calling and carve out this niche that you have developed and nurtured over the years to just be a headshot guy?
Well, actually, I've upgraded my title to America's headshot photographer.
Oh, there you go. Hey, we are live with America's top headshot photographer, guys.
Yeah,
live from New York City.
I'm sorry. Actually, I forgot the question. I did get that joke in.
I'm just saying. Look, being a headshot photographer, I mean, that's again, this is a niche that you have carved out, because there's not too many people I know that wake up in the morning like, yeah, I got to go get my headshot today. I mean, again, because your clientele is very, very different than, the rest of the 99% of the people living in the country. So what I'm just saying is, like, how long did it take you to find that calling and to carve out that specific niche that you have developed and nurtured over the years to be a headshot photographer, America's top headshot photographer?
Yeah, I think I would say maybe about 10 years, because again, I started off with the musicians, started shooting concerts, and I would shoot portraits in the studio of musicians or on location. Then I tried to do some modeling and modeling and some fashion, and again, that wasn't my thing. And after about 10 years, when I started shooting for the soap opera magazines and other actors started coming to me for headshots, and then I realized that was really what my specialty was and what I was good at. So, it took me time to really find my specialty, but luckily I found it.
Describe a day in the life of Barry Morgenstein.
No, it's not that exciting, probably. I get up. If I go to my studio for a shoot, I'll go in and, look, we'll have a makeup hairstylist at the studio first, and an assistant. Wait for the client, and they'll come in, and we'll just go over their wardrobe. I'll talk to them, find out exactly what their needs are. Obviously, it depends on what they're using it for, whether it's an actor, a news person, corporate. Do a lot of attorneys, doctors, professional people. I'll just talk to them. We'll have a nice conversation and relax. I always have music playing in the studio, so that kind of I think it gives a nice atmosphere. Again, my love of music, so it's important to me to get that atmosphere going, and I think people appreciate it. And we just have fun. We do the photos, and the photos are available right after the shoot. We put them on a flash card or do a Dropbox, and that's it. That's pretty it for work wise.
My, how the times have changed. When you started, they were, literally right with the big gloves, and they're like putting them underwater. How they, used to do that.
Oh yeah, I did that.
Develop, and now you're like, here you go.
I don't miss those days, but I love it the way it is now. Instant satisfaction for the client, and so it's easy, but it's a fun day. But it's always different. Again, every day is different. Right. The client's always different. It could be an actor, it could be a musician. Could be a veteran, a Navy SEAL, maybe a newscaster, a doctor. So I'm always meeting great, interesting people. So,
yeah, it's amazing. When I asked you, hey, what's a life like in the day at Barry? And I know you're a very humble guy, but look, I'm a fan. I've seen your work. I've been all over your website. I've seen your portfolio. I see the work you do in the veteran and the military community. You're not just a photographer for the rich and famous. You give discounts to those families in need that are, in the veteran community, in the military community, and the first responders.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what you're doing
and
is amazing.
And also Gold Star families, I do not charge anything. I always do. If it's a Gold Star family, because sometimes Gold Star mothers or wives will do TV appearances, so maybe they'll need a headshot. And if they're a Gold Star, they don't pay at all.
Well, that's very kind of you. Yeah, that's very kind of you. I mean, like I said, there's not too many guys that, have made it up that ladder of success and again, have found that spot where you are meant to be and to be able to give back. That speaks very, very highly of your character. Now, like I was saying, it's not always taking pictures of the rich and famous, but let's face it. That's what a lot of people want to hear about. That's the stuff that makes what you do very interesting. What's it like taking pictures of folks that are larger than life itself?
Well, it's exciting, especially in the beginning of my career. It was pretty a little intimidating and exciting because I got to meet some of the people I grew up, specifically musicians. Like maybe if I met Paul McCartney, I grew up as a Beatles fanatic, so meeting McCartney was pretty incredible. You got to meet people like Elton John. I was his official photographer for 2 Madison Square Garden shows he did, so I got to meet him backstage, and then was the only photographer in the photo pit. They call the photo pit when you're shooting concerts. So I was the only photographer there shooting him, and so I got to ride in a limousine with Tina Turner. So fun stories like that is like a little surreal at the time, and I was young and kind of excited and probably acted a little silly because I was nervous. So those are the great experiences. I've got to meet some great people.
I've got a question. So how demanding is it working with these famous people? Because, I mean, obviously their schedules are packed with events and social gatherings and TV, you name it. I mean, these are very busy people. Now, do you work in unison with their agents?
Agents or publicists. Maybe a lot of times back then it was publicists. And, a lot of times it was the publicist who was more difficult to deal with than the actual celebrity. Celebrities seemed, for the most part, I had good luck. They seemed like just like nice people. Especially, actually, I find the more famous they were, the nicer they were. Believe it or not. Then maybe they were just like secure with themselves or whatever. But it was usually maybe the publicist that would be a little more difficult dealing with back in those days. So,
it may not be that they're nicer. Or, it may be that they are nicer because the publicist is doing their dirty work. So, they're like, hey, you got to get this thing done. Yeah. So, and not to take anything away from, these folks, because I've met a lot of famous people too, and they are.
Right.
The majority of them are very, very, very kind.
Right.
But when you're working with publicists and agents, are they demanding? Are they like, hey, I need you here now because we need this done in an hour? Or is this something that they typically, I couldn't see them scheduling things out.
No, they're usually demanding. They'll say, yeah, you have not even an hour. Sometimes you have 10 minutes to get the shot, which I can do. I'm good under pressure, so I can get a good shot. Doesn't take me long to get it. So I'm pretty good at handling that. But yeah, that's the way it would have been, is they could be like, hey, you have 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
To get here.
Yeah, or to get the shot, to have that's how much time you have with the artist or whatever. So yeah, no, sometimes it's very quick, but I can get it quick. I don't need a lot of time.
Now, do you need to build these relationships with the actual celebrities themselves, or do you have to have that relationship with their publicists?
If they're very, like, if it's somebody like a McCartney, yeah, and that's like not like I pick up the phone. It's something I would go through the publicist, the record company. But these days, with news people, I kind of can just shoot them a text or whatever. So it's kind of a little bit of both. Some people, you can go straight to. Maybe if they're really big celebrities, you have to go through publicists. You can't go directly.
Mm-hmm. So you have studios in New York City, and you're also shooting on location now in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, Nashville, and in Stamford, Connecticut, and Washington, D.C. Are you a one-man band, or do you have other people now that are working for you on these other locations?
Oh, no, I have a whole team. And really, honestly, it's not as much Connecticut and PA anymore. It's D.C. and Virginia area, and Nashville is my go-to places. But yeah, I've also been to Dallas for shoots. But I go to the D.C. area 3 times a year, and I have a whole team. I'll drive down. I have 2 assistants. We have two hair and makeup people down there. We have a hostess that works greeting people. So we have a whole staff. It's a pretty big production. So, but it's the best team. I couldn't do it. I always give credit to my team. You surround yourself by the best people, most talented people. I work with the best hair and makeup people. My assistants, both of them, the one in New York, the one in Virginia, is like my right-hand men. They're just like, I couldn't do it without them. So yeah, got to give people credit.
So when you find yourself leaving, where you're from, born and raised, the New York area, Brooklyn, right, Jersey, whatever it is, and you find yourself in Texas or in Tennessee or whatever, describe what it's like being away from where you call home, and what's it like? I mean, in comparison, like, is it nice getting out of New York, or is it?
Well, these days, it's very nice getting out of New York, to be honest with you. It's like, so I love it. I love Nashville. I love Nashville, and I may end up there one day, or I just love the Nashville, and I'll shoot in Franklin, which is a beautiful city near Nashville too. So I love the people there, the nicest people. My mom's from the South, Alabama, so I've always loved the South and Southern people. So I love getting away, and I love meeting people from different states too. I love meeting people around the country. So I like to do it more. I like to take it. I love going on the road, basically. I mean, I like it for the work. I'm kind of a homebody. I love being home with my wife. That's my favorite thing to do. So maybe when I was younger, my dream would have really been to take it on the road and just like never be home. But now I'm older and, happily married. So it's like, I do like to be home, but at the same time, I still enjoy that kind of getting away for maybe a long weekend and just meeting some cool people in different states and different parts of the country. So, and Virginia is easy. I drive there because I have all my equipment. So it's about a 4-hour drive. And we drive down on Friday, shoot Saturday and Sunday, the whole weekend, and back Monday. So they're always quick trips.
Yeah, that would be, your news anchors and stuff like that, like your Tucker Carlsons, your Megyn Kellys. And
well, luckily I've built up a great reputation in the Virginia, D.C. area. It's obviously the news people and political people, but there's a lot of actors there too. There's professional people. So I've been doing that for 8 years, and we've been selling out every weekend that we go, and it's 3 times a year. So I'm pretty lucky.
Incredible. And I bet this is a huge time of the year for you, with the holidays and, all the family shoots as well, huh?
Yeah, I do some families. I still say, headshots is still my main thing. But yeah, I absolutely do family portraits, and obviously more in the next few weeks I'll be doing those.
So you wouldn't consider yourself a landscape photographer?
No,
you're just a headshot guy.
Just people. I deal with people. Yeah. So I stick with what I'm good at. Excuse me. I don't do. I wouldn't do weddings. That's a specialty. That's people are great at that. I would leave that to people who specialize in that. People have come to me that I know, clients. Oh, can you shoot my wedding? And I'm honest with them. I'll say, be honest with you, you're better off finding a wedding photographer. That's a complete. Sure, I could pull it off, but I'm not comfortable. I'd rather just them use as somebody who specializes in that. I stick with what I'm good at.
Much respect to you for being able to be so good at what you do. I'm talking, folks, headshots. I mean, it's a headshot, but you have to be precise and perfect in that headshot. And there's so many photographers out there that do it all. They do the landscape, they do the headshots, they do the family portraits. Right. So they have a lot of tools in their tool bag, but they don't maybe not be experts at that one specific trade when it comes to photography. So again, much respect to you that you've been able to not only have a successful career out of it, but to call that your primary job, and that's your primary source of income. And and again, how many people are out there getting headshots? Right. And again, a very specific group of targeted audience who you cater to. So again, that's very, very unique. Right. And again, that's Barry. I mean, you're a unique man. So
thank you.
What's your favorite setting to shoot a headshot?
Well, in my studio, or either my studio, or again, I can duplicate my studio or recreate my studio on location. So basically, my signature look is the gray background, dark gray. I keep it simple. I think that brings out people's skin tones and more focus. I don't like distracting backgrounds. I don't like shooting outside, although I could do it. But for headshots, it's about the gray background and just focus on the personality and the expressions in the eyes.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more outside too with the trees. But I guess if you get that perfect headshot, you can put that headshot. You can put it anywhere. You can put it in front of a building. You can put it in front of a tree.
You could, but I don't recommend it though, because that would be distracting. Headshots, it's more about the person, than like if it's a
interesting.
So always in the studio, I have my lighting set up. I know what I need and what I use, and I'm comfortable with, and and it doesn't have to be a big space. I could go on location. I've been put in these tiny little small rooms, and I make it work.
Adapt and overcome.
Exactly.
Love it.
Exactly.
So what has been the proudest moment of your career, Barry?
Proudest moment? Probably, let's see, it's been a few, but one that stands out was when I volunteered and I went down to South Carolina for the Gary Sinise Foundation and Independence Fund. They had a week of a getaway for veterans at I wish I could remember the location. But basically it was a getaway for veterans and their spouses. And basically I volunteered to go down, and I brought my team down with me, hair and makeup. And what we did was we set up a studio, excuse me, and we did portraits of the caregivers to the veterans. So maybe their spouse who doesn't normally, they're always focused on their spouse, taking care of them. They don't get to be glamorized and have a beautiful portrait of themselves and made to feel beautiful. So we made them up with a hair and makeup team. We did portraits. We did portraits of them with their husbands, boyfriends, sons, whatever it was. So we did family portraits. We did portraits of everybody. And at the end of the week, I photographed the Gary Sinise with the Lieutenant band that plays. He did a concert at the end of the week. So it was an amazing experience. It was just, I was in heaven for that. I just met some amazing people who I still keep in contact to this day. So I would say that's definitely a highlight for me.
The Lieutenant Dan band.
Yeah, they're so great. And Gary Sinise is like, he's my idol. He's I always say I'd like to be the Gary Sinise of headshot photographers. I don't have his fame or wealth to maybe help the way he does, but I do what I can, and somebody admire. So,
well, I mean, you're doing a great job, and and plus you're giving back to a community that has given it all, the service, the sacrifice, and again, you don't have to do that. You're in New York, you're glamour. I mean, you are a staple in the headshot photography world. And, a lot of people look to you, a lot of people look to you for advice and for inspiration, probably more people than you can ever really imagine. You probably got young kids that are on your website. They're like, man, I want to be this guy someday. and so you've got a lot of great things going for you. And again, you're a tremendous champion to that industry. Now, who do you look to for strength? And do you have a mentor?
As far as look for as a photographer, or
nope, just as a man. Who does Barry look to? If you're going through some struggles, you're going through some hard times in life, you're going through a bad day or whatever, is there somebody that you lean on?
Yeah, that's easy. Shelly, my beautiful wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm lucky. I have the best partner. She's my best friend, my biggest supporter, and I'm lucky that I have her. So yeah, that's why.
I see you guys had a nice dinner the other night. It looked really good, actually.
Yeah, she did. She went all out for Thanksgiving. Oh, was that the one at the restaurant or Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
Well, both. Thanksgiving was amazing. She did an amazing job, and we had family over, and and we had a nice date night on Saturday night too at our family.
I'm a foodie, so when people post pictures of you'll grab my attention by that, So
and funny enough is how we did meet kind of through. Well, I actually met her on Instagram, which is kind of a funny story, but it was through, I saw her, not only just saw her photos, but I saw that she was a big veteran supporter like me, and we had some mutual veteran friends. She was at an event with my buddy, Chris Pronto, who you mentioned in the beginning. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. She has the same interests as I do, besides being beautiful. So, I kind of did reach out. At the beginning, it was a little more reaching out professional because she was going to be in the DC area for photos. So that was my first introduction, and she's from Arizona, so we hit it off right away, and we had a long distance relationship for a few years, and finally got married, and she's here. She's in New Jersey. So yeah.
Well, I guess we got some commonalities. I met my wife on America Online in 1996 when I was in Okinawa.
Oh wow!
And she was in Arizona. And 25 years later, here we are, 4 beautiful kids, a great wife, and
nice.
Yeah. It wasn't Instagram, but it was America Online, the old dial-up.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I remember. That's great. Yeah. So we have a lot in common, I guess. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now you did not serve in the military, correct?
No, I did not. I was, I just big supporter. A lot of people ask me that, say, oh, you're so always talking about the military, supporting the military. Did you serve? And I said, no. I guess I regret that I didn't. When I was younger, maybe I was a different person. I was the long-haired rock and roll guy, so it's like But as I got older, that just became my passion. As as I tell people, I kind of joke, say, well, when I was starting, I wanted to photograph Mick Jagger and Jimmy Page, Al Pacino. Now I want to photograph Navy SEALs, Medal of Honor recipients. So I get more excited about that. Not that I would still mind the others, but still, you know what I mean? I kind of changed my focus.
There's so many ways to serve. Like I've said on this program a lot, you can serve your country by picking up the trash in your community, by going on a walk. There's, you serve, your country when you're going and shooting for Gold Star, families that need it the most, and giving back your time and contributing your hours and your time and your art and your artistic eye to folks like the Gary Sinise Foundation, and going out to these events where there's veterans and, folks in the military and first responders. So again, you serve, but you just serve in a different capacity. You serve in a different way, so, and I tell everybody that because everybody wants everybody wants to know how they can help, and everybody wants to serve. But again, it's not just limited to, well, you're not serving unless you were in the military. Well, no, I don't buy all that stuff. I think people could serve every day. They could serve in their church. They can serve on their school board. They can serve on their water board. There's so many ways that we can give back to our country and our community to make it a better place. And you have served that role very well with your headshot photography. Now, describe some of the relationships that you've built in this headshot photography world.
For, I guess, with my clients, I've just, I've made a lot of friends, because again, pretty easy to get along with. I think people like the fact that I'm just kind of a regular guy from New Jersey. I don't know. I've gotten people that said, "Oh, I'm surprised you don't have more of an ego," and I always say, "Oh, I just take pictures. Why should I have such a big ego?" So it's like I'm just, I make friends with a lot of the people I shoot, and I stay in touch with a lot of people, and we've become friends. I've friends that are, again, actors or filmmakers or such a wide variety. So I just love staying in touch with people and just see how they, and I don't just take their picture too. I like to follow up, see how they're doing, how the photos are helping their career, and if they have any questions or, so yeah, I just stay in touch with a lot of my clients and have made a lot of great friends.
Follow up and follow through. Take care of their needs from start to finish, and then build that lasting relationship. And Absolutely. That's, and that's the life of an entrepreneur. Now, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this program, and we also have a lot that maybe just getting started out in life and are wanting to take that first step in being a successful entrepreneur. What type of advice could you give some of our entrepreneurs that are listening today?
Don't get turned off by negativity in the beginning. You're going to get a lot of rejection, and you might be like tempted to quit or say, okay, maybe I'm not that good at that. I got a lot of that in the beginning. I think back on stories of, just people. I always tell the story. I once went to show up my portfolio in the beginning of my career at a big CBS TV, I guess, producer. And she was flipping through my portfolio and just looked at me and said, no, I won't hire you. I was like, so a lot of people would be devastated by that. It was, besides being rude, it's like, just kind of a devastating thing to hear. And some people would say, okay, well, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I'm not going to make it. And that just made me stronger and say, okay, one day I'm going to show this lady. I wish I could remember her name because I would like to show her. But so basically, I just say, just ignore the rejection. I've had people say, "Oh, don't be a photographer. There's going to be too much competition." And I just didn't I didn't listen to that. Going back to music, I love to hear stories of people. They told Elvis to go back to truck driving. They told Elvis Presley, "Go back to truck driving. You're not going to have a career." So if all these people listen to this negativity, everybody goes through that. So just stay strong and just that's what you really love. And I think if you have a passion for it, then you'll get there. Could take time, but you just, be strong. Ignore the negativity.
Yeah, that's some good advice. It's the motivation, I can have here, the purpose, the passion, and the plan, and to have a goal and to know that this goal isn't going to come overnight. You've got to constantly work on it and improving it and practicing and evolving and growing within the community and growing within the new cameras and the new styles and the new techniques and the new colors and this and that. I mean, as you well know. And then, of course, I think the most, important thing in entrepreneurship is the relationship building and staying connected. And it's not just like on on a professional level, hey, how was Johnny's soccer game the other night? Right. And again, you're building that relationship that has far greater meaning than you taking their headshots, because now you are, engaging in their private life and their social life and their family's life. And that's where these friendships can blossom into bigger and better jobs and into bigger and better relationships. And again, I think that's why your phone is always ringing for you to come back, because you have kind of built your, your business and your reputation that very way.
Yeah, I mean, again, I always try to have a nice conversation. I could be in the middle of shooting a client, like say an actor. I'll be snapping away, and then I'll just stop and say, so, what's your favorite movie, or what actor inspired you to become an actor? Because, I really am, because I love movies. I love old classic movies. Actually, a lot of my photography is inspired by old black and white and directors and photographers from the old Hollywood era in the 40s. But anyway, so I have that interest when I'm talking to people, or whatever it is. Maybe it's a newscaster, so I might want to talk about news, something, or politics, so I think that helps make them comfortable and relatable.
Yeah, I guess one of the questions not to ask a newscaster is, hey, is the news really fake?
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. I can imagine that. Oh, man. Yeah, no, that would be funny, yeah. Hey, Tucker Carlson. So, is it fake or not? I mean, hey, I want to know. I'm Barry. I'm Barry Moore. I'm America's top headshot photographer. Yeah. I want to know, is the news I'm seeing fake?
Yeah. Well, his is always not fake, so I don't have to ask.
Right.
So, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, he's definitely, somebody that I look up to and admire in the news world. He's always giving it to you straight.
Absolutely.
He doesn't uncross no T's.
No.
And dots, those I's, and yeah.
And he's a good guy too. He's such a nice guy. Very laid back.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've never talked to him. I've never been on his show. I've never, but I mean, I like what he's about and, what he talks about. And I know you have a relationship because you've taken many pictures of him. So that's pretty cool. I just, that just came to my mind about, because that's, that's the thing that, that's 2022. That's all the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, it's always like, is it disinformation? Is it real? Is it fake? It's like, I don't even know up from down anymore in 2022. And so, it's definitely very hard to keep up with, because there's so much fake out there. But then you're trying to ask what's real, what's fake, what matters, what doesn't matter, and one thing that I've done, no anger, no worry, no politics. I need my sanity.
I may have to borrow that piece of paper. Remind me of that. Good tips.
Hey, this 5th generation warfare, man, is just, it's a lot on, I tell you. And, with everything the way it is and, the way everything is going, I need a constant reminder to say, look, everything's going to be okay. We're good to go. We're going through some weird time in our world's history, but you got your health, you got a beautiful family, you got a beautiful wife, you've got a house, you've got awesome dogs and a cat.
Right.
Hey, that's all we need, right?
Exactly.
And food.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
All right, I'm going to end with this. This has been a great interview, and I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to come on here today to talk to me and have a little chat. But what type of life advice can you leave listeners today?
Life advice?
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know, live, I learned from my dad, who was a big influence, honesty is important. Integrity is good. Patriotism is important to me. Maybe not everybody, but that's important to me. I think, just, if you have a business, just run it with integrity and honesty. I think that's important. And then I think people will recognize that and appreciate you for it too. And it's the right thing to do. Right way to be.
Integrity, honesty, patriotism, love of the country, believing in yourself. I think you've nailed it. And I think those are great hallmarks of what make America great and what make people great in this country, and being a contributor to society in an honorable way. So, I think that's all amazing stuff right there, man. Sincerely.
Right. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. It was fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll have to do it again sometime.
I'm ready. I'm in.
Yeah. When things, when you start doing some other big time stuff. Hey, who knows? You might take my picture someday, right? When my podcast blows up.
Yeah. I've done I've done a lot of people's headshots for their podcast. That's a new thing. So yeah, for sure. So whenever you're ready, love to have you.
Well, listen, man, thank you so much again for joining us today. Your service, your sacrifice, everything you do, man, is truly honorable.
I appreciate that. Great meeting you.
Yes, sir. Until next time, for Tuesdays with Tally, this is Brian Tally. Good night.